inventor. We are going to be discussing A Course in Miracles and the Course in Miracles experiment. Now, a lot of us have heard the term A Course in Miracles, but don't really know what all it is. Now, I know, Kim, you've been living with A Course in Miracles, A Course in Miracles, you're on your second year, and Teri, you've been dabbling in this for years. So we've got two very valuable sources of information here. So first of all, welcome. Kim, share with us, what is A Course in Miracles?
So it's nice to be with you, Ruth, with you being a newer student. I'm a year and a half into it, and then Teri's 20 years plus, so this is a good view. So for me, I learned of A Course in Miracles. I was listening to a couple of Oprah Super Soul Sunday podcasts, and Marianne Williamson was doing one, and she was mentioning A Course in Miracles, and I kept, writing down the name of the book and thinking, let me look into that. What is this? And so finally, I invested in the book, and I started reading it, and I just became I look forward to the lessons every day. So it's in my view, it's a book that was downloaded to an atheist researcher in the 70s by Jesus. She didn't know what was happening. Teri probably knows this story better than me, but she didn't understand what was happening. She thought she was losing her mind, but the words seemed so powerful and meaningful. And so with encouragement from some of her team, she went ahead and kind of went with it. And I believe it was about a 5-year process of her sitting down and getting these messages and writing the book. And when you start to read the book, it's just so powerful. To me, it's been the glue it's been the glue to make my spiritual journey make more sense. I don't know how to explain it. I grew up in church, and I'm familiar with the Bible, and I love Jesus, but I always, just as far as maneuvering life, I feel like I was being blown all over the place. And this book has helped me have a more disciplined mind, a different way of looking at life that actually has made it much more meaningful, much more fun. And it's made my journey and my spiritual journey, getting to know Jesus, so much stronger and more exciting and more vibrant and more real. So for me, it's like an unlearning of conditioned thought that we've been taught, and then a relearning of a thought system based on love instead of fear that helps you grow your relationships, grow the meaning of your life and your daily experiences. So I love it. It's a daily practice that helps me strengthen my mind to face life's challenges.
Beautiful. Thanks. So Teri, that book looks a little daunting, right? There's so many parts to it. How does it work? Not the message of it, but daily, there's a reading every day?
Yes, every day you can do a lesson. You can sit with that lesson for the day. And what's encouraged is that throughout the day, you just take time to focus on that lesson, nothing else. Just focus on what the message is that's coming through. And I love the way Pam Grout puts it in the very beginning of her book. She says, you don't have to understand it. You don't have to consciously say, I agree or disagree with this. Just do it. When you just do it, and you're allowing that freedom for it to open up and to speak to you. I like to read the very beginning of the original Course in Miracles. It says, this is a course in miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at any given time. So there's a lot of people, myself included, that have delved into A Course in Miracles that came out like, what is this? I don't understand. And I remember the very first time I was introduced to it, and I opened that book, and Kim, you got the original book there. I opened that book and I started reading, and I read this part, and it's like, okay, so it's a required course, but the time we put into it is voluntary. I'm like, even that, I'm like, what? But I was intrigued. And I love this other part of that. The course can be summed up very simply Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. And herein lies the peace of God. Well, I wanted that peace. I wanted peace inside. I'm like, I want that. Who doesn't want peace? Right? And when I delved into it more and more and talked to other people that were at the same place of what does this mean? What's this all about? We started to realize that really it is inside and nothing unreal exists. So whatever we're looking at, we deconstruct that process of learning everything in life. You know, we learn by other people teaching us and telling us the way things are. So deconstructing is the first thing that we do, in whether you're doing the original version of that book or you're following along as Pam Grout shows us every day how to really take on those glasses of looking at things with a different perspective. So that's what I've gotten from my journey with the Course in Miracles. And I love it. I love the whole concept of we create. We create. So when you deconstruct what you thought was real in the world and you start really looking at it and examining it, it takes on a whole new meaning.
So Teri's referring to the Course in Miracles experiment, the starter kit for rewiring your mind by Pam Grout. And Teri, you are exploring this in your book club here
Yes.
on WN. And when is that meeting?
It's every Wednesday at 1:00 Eastern time. We're going to explore for the whole month of January. This book we started actually last Wednesday. Next Wednesday, the 20th, not this coming Wednesday, but the following, the 20th, the author, Pam Grout, will be joining us in that book club meeting. We encourage anyone who would like to know more about Course in Miracles to come in and just ask your questions. Anyone can come into the Zoom meeting. You can meet with us with Pam Grout. And Pam has been a student of A Course in Miracles for many, many years. And she has a lot of humor that she uses to help us to lighten up and to really examine things and go to a place that's familiar. She uses modern day familiar stuff to help us look at it in a different way. I'm excited about having her on. And she sounds excited about being with us. So I'm thinking it's going to be a really powerful meeting on the 20th with Pam Grout.
That's great. Thank you. So Kim, is the Course in Miracles something that you can actually go through and do by yourself? Or is it so heady that you need somebody else to kind of walk you through it? Do you need a teacher or a mentor?
No, I think there's so many online, there's a lot of people who are studying the Course in Miracles and have been for different lengths of time, and they have YouTube free videos. And so when I was first starting the book, that did help me. I would read the text. There's daily text you can read. There's a daily lesson you focus on. I would think about it in my own head, try to figure out, what does this mean? And, trying to understand it. And then I could also go online and listen to other people discuss the meaning of the different lessons. And that did help at the beginning because, like Teri said, there's no question. There's some of the philosophies Jesus brings up. They're just so different than how we've been trained to think that you have to really wrestle with it. It's not something you just get like, oh yeah, be nice to people. It's deep. It's deep, and which makes it fun. So for me, I was kind of like Teri. I was at a place where I was really, really seeking peace, coming off of kind of a really challenging time in my life and I was one of those people that was thinking there's got to be a better way for me to figure this life out. So I hear that now more and more, that people get to that state, and that's what kind of drives the journey within. And once I started reading the Course in Miracles, it just started helping me just integrate these tools into my daily life. And it is kind of I feel like it is kind of a personal journey, but there is help out there and lots of people who are giving their insight, when you first are starting, and then it becomes more personal once you kind of get the gist of like what you're aiming for.
So logistically, if I'm on lesson 10, say, do I go on YouTube and look up A Course in Miracles lesson 10? And people will have done videos about the different lessons. Is that
Yes.
what you do?
Yep. A lot of people have felt compelled, would be very interesting to do as a discipline, to do a lesson every day, either videotape themselves or do an audio, and then sometimes give their own perspective. And then there's some folks who actually, one in particular who I follow who channels Jesus after. So he helps kind of clarify the message. And I listened to a lot of different people and then kind of settled, and everyone's different. So you kind of settle in on the one that resonates with you. So there are a lot of different resources.
Okay. And so if I go through this and it's a year, right? I do something every day. What do I do next year? Do I just start over again?
I had to start over. I can't even, in fact, I feel like I'll just continue starting over for the rest of my life, because you get more out of it the second time around. It's like, oh, now I understand this more than I did last year. So that's my plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of progressive. And I know last year, Pam was sending out an email every day with the lesson of the day and then putting her spin on it. And then this year she's written the book. That book just came out. So there are people that do blogging about it every day, and you can follow along and see what their perspective is about it. I love that there is a lesson every day. And it only takes a few minutes. It really seriously only takes like 5 minutes to understand and read through that lesson, and then do the exercises of just focusing on whatever that lesson was for the day. So like today, the lesson is all about, I don't have it in front of me, I did. Ruth, do you have the lesson for today?
I do. It's about transcending the self-talk that you do. And the lesson is, my thoughts do not mean anything.
Right.
That's important.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Pam calls it the roommate in my head. I love that. So the focus today is just, all those thoughts that kind of cover up reality are always running through our heads.
So the two key messages that changed my life from doing this lesson, this Course in Miracles, was that we are not our minds, and that if you start paying attention to your thoughts, 95% of them are repetitive negative thoughts of you thinking back through the past of something you regret, or this has happened to you. And I never had thought about that before. But once I started paying attention, I'm like, why am I thinking about what happened in college, 35 years ago? So it teaches you to discipline and realize that that's not you. That's your egoic mind just running. One joke I heard was, you wouldn't even be friends with the voice, the person who's the voice in your head, because it beats you up so much. And then the second message was that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. That message, even if I'd heard it at some point in my life, it just didn't sink in. And that was key, because then the spiritual nature of this book and the lessons it brings, it kind of elevates you away from the daily battleground, per se, that word's been used, to a different level, so that when you're presented with a challenge, instead of reacting, you think, okay, this is interesting. This person is being, as attacking me in some way, but you step back to think about how you're going to react. And then for me, you pull from all the different lessons in the Course in Miracles and you start trying them instead of reacting the way you might have. And then they work. And then you're like, wow, this is fun. It's like, bring it on. I was thinking yesterday, it's almost like if you were in a checkout line, at the store, and you one experience comes your way and you're like, all right, I think I nailed that one. And then it's like, all right, bring it on. Next, what's going to happen now? My daughter's going to walk in and say something challenging, or I'm going to get a phone call from my dad and he's going to say something challenging, or my company is going to go out of business. But it's almost like it makes it where you're a little, I guess you're transcending a little bit, or you're underneath it. You're just calm. You're practicing being calm and trying to not let the world jostle you all over the place. And there's so many key messages, so many examples of just key messages that I'd never, like the holy instant, that a miracle comes in the holy instant. Every time you have an opportunity to choose a loving thought versus a fearful thought, that's a miracle. and you're collapsing time. I mean, some of the messages are like fascinating when you just spend time thinking about them. So
I love that, Kim. And you speak so eloquently about it.
Yeah.
so I enjoy the lessons very much.
That's great.
Changed
One of
my
the
life.
other lessons in today's, and this one is in Pam Brout's, is a quote by Sherry Taylor Jones. It says, "We cannot create anew with the same old, same old, same old." And what a great lesson just for me today. What I found, and I'm only on day 10, what I have found is that each lesson has spoken to me for that particular day. And I just think, how does it know where I am in life right now? But it seems to know where I am in life. I guess that's the miracle of it, right?
Yeah, because one of the theories in the book is that if you want to change your future, you change it in the moment. You don't change it with the same thought that got you there. You change it in the moment by choosing a more loving thought. And that sometimes if, let's say you kind of mess up, which is, we're human and we do, that you can choose again. You can go back and say, you know what, I'm going to see this differently. I'm going to change the story in my head. I'm going to bring love and compassion and forgiveness into this, instead of, still thinking that same fearful thought of someone irritating me or so it's so practical. And I love one of the prayers. I pulled a few things from the book when I was preparing for today that have meant a lot to me, but there's a kind of a prayer I say every morning, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? And to who? And when you approach your day like that, asking Jesus, guide my steps, help me be a vessel for you to use, it just puts you on a different level than just getting up and kind of heading out in your day. And another prayer from the book that I love reminding myself of is, I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to do, about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. I mean, what a lovely way to look at, at your day. And then at night, the last thing I'll say that jumped out to me, in case this resonates with people watching, it said, you could do this anytime really, but at night, if you just kind of look back at your day and think, who do I owe an apology to? What do I need to learn? Where was I off? Where were my mistakes? And if you kind of run that through your head and you pay attention, you can, make sure that you're trying to like kind of clean up where you need to offer forgiveness to yourself or others. Forgiveness is a big key in the book. Extending love and forgiveness to yourself and others is, I guess, one of the main themes throughout the book, which is Jesus's main theme anyway.
Right.
His messages.
I love divine timing, but this morning in our meditation, the message was about resilience versus resistance. And what I'm hearing, everything in this book is about resilience and being willing to let go of who you think you are to step into who you can be.
And accepting yourself with all of what you would maybe perceive as faults, accepting that that's all part of you, and to love yourself more. I guess it's that whole trying to integrate. And I'm still I work on it every day, even yesterday, things happen, but this is the cool thing about when challenges happen, instead of like getting upset about it, you start to learn to think, wow, why did that happen? And why did I react that way? And you pray about it. You pray the Holy Spirit changes your perception, that you could see it differently. And I never used to, think like that 3 years ago. It would just be that person. Everything was that person made me mad, instead of, wow, that triggered something in me. That's something I need to heal. It's not the person. It's not the form. That's within me. So it just changes but it takes time to get there. But then it just becomes all about like how you're handling situations. And like you said, your resilience, it's just, it makes life much more a challenge. It meant much more fun when you're taking responsibility for your own reactions and not expecting other people to behave in a certain way to bring you joy and peace.
You know, Kim, listening to you talk, it makes me think there's layers upon layers upon layers of learning that you have gone through to bring you to this place to be able to speak what you're speaking.
Yes,
Very cool to watch.
definitely.
Very cool. So, Teri, have you found this work to be life-changing? Has it impacted you to that level?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I when I first found A Course in Miracles, like I said, it was over 30 years ago, I was at a very bad place in my life. You know, I can really resonate with what Kim was saying. I had made some bad choices, and I had just taken a year to just say, okay, what's going on? What's this all about? And I believe that the angels led me to A Course in Miracles so that I could start delving in and seeing that I'm in control, and that the past, it really doesn't have to have that huge impact when we carry all that baggage, when we can stay in the now moment. And I think that's what really touched me about Eckhart Tolle. I really learned about staying in the moment from A Course in Miracles, but then it was reinforced when I came across Stillness Speaks by Eckhart Tolle. It was like that same concept. Nothing else is real than what's happening this very moment. And staying present, it releases us from the fear of the past, that regret, you know, everything that went into making us who we are. And it releases you from projecting into the future and going into a fear of the unknown. So it really is a course to teach you how to be present, how to live in each moment, how to make those important choices and those decisions based on where you are, not where you have been or where you might possibly go to. It's just being very still with you and with your life. And it doesn't mean that the past didn't happen. It happened. We've had experiences in this body, in this life, but we needed all those experiences. And that's the one thing that I've learned over the years. We can't go back in a race, and we shouldn't. We don't need to. We needed all of that brought us right to where we are, but we can't live back there. We have to live where we are now in this present moment and go forward from there. So we can start each day. I talked about this morning. Every moment is an opportunity to have that clean slate. Just envision a whiteboard in front of you. What do you want to create? And this is the moment to do that. This is the moment to utilize your inner voice to say, how do I want this to look today? And I think that's the beauty of the Course in Miracles, is you don't have to focus on regret and anything that has happened. It's what is happening where you are right now. And Ruth, you and I talked this morning in the meditation about time, linear time. And when we stay in divine time, all of that kind of goes out the window. It's like, what's happening this now moment, because that's the only moment that I know that I have. And that was taught to me by A Course in Miracles.
Okay, so I'm hearing no shame, no blame, no judgment.
Yeah.
Just start now,
Mhm.
right? Start anew.
Yeah.
And something Teri said that I totally agree with is, for some reason, and I do believe it was divine intervention that has kind of led me on. Once I started seeking, just like in the Bible, when you seek, you will find. Once I started seeking more answers and more understanding, I just started getting led to podcasts and people. That's how I was led to Enlightened World Network about 5 months after I started my journey. And when I was led to A Course in Miracles, it was from an Oprah Super Soul Sunday, which she, interviews so many different, spiritual folks and folks who've overcome, a lot of hardships. And so she had mentioned the book, and I also got introduced to Eckhart Tolle through that. And I was reading the books at the same time. I was reading The Power of Now, The New Earth, along with A Course in Miracles. And I was fascinated with, like, the messages were so similar. And then I also belonged to a church, and I was listening to my minister's sermons, and they were in line too, because I was always kind of testing myself. Like, am I getting off track? Because a lot of people, I think they start A Course in Miracles and then they feel like it's something different than the Bible. So it scares them. They're like, this seems like maybe shouldn't be reading this. But in reality, at least in my experience, I found the messages are all the exact same. The Course in Miracles just helps you understand the biblical scripture to a little bit more depth. And so to me, all three of those influences were a huge impact to me, within the last year and a half.
So Kim, if you, some of our folks on EWN are more spiritual than religious and don't feel really comfortable with the Christ consciousness that is seen throughout religion. So if you're not comfortable with Christ in some way, shape, or form, would you be comfortable with A Course in Miracles?
Yes, I totally believe so. Because even if let's say someone they don't resonate with, Christianity or a church, the way that churches are today, Jesus still had fantastic teachings. I mean, I've told some of my friends, I'm like, read A Course in Miracles, even if you don't believe that it was channeled to this researcher in the 70s, the messages on how to approach life and the thing that what you can glean from the guidance is fantastic. I mean, it's worth it just in and of itself, even if you don't have like the spiritual. But Eckhart Tolle, reading his at the same time too, with the same message, also gives that more universal, message that's not tied to, to Jesus per se, even though Eckhart Tolle refers to Jesus's teachings a lot, his teaching on non-judgment and forgiveness and this and that. So to me, it was a perfect, like very well-rounded, way of digesting information was in my church, emphasis, and then Eckhart Tolle, and then A Course in Miracles. And then since then, of course, then you get introduced to other people and their messages. But so far, they've all been extremely consistent. So I don't know, it feels good to me. But I'm one of these people who I don't have to like dig down to the very bottom and understand it all. I just want to fill my mind with messages that are of peace, of love. Another nice thing, just real quick, about A Course in Miracles is, as you do the lessons, you think about the lessons more, and it gets rid of like the negative thoughts. So over time, like when I'm laying in bed in the middle of the night, I'm not worrying most of the time about something that's going on in my life. I'm literally running the Course in Miracles concepts through my head. And so it's always like a positive vibe. It's kind of like affirmations. Mm-hmm. Once you start doing affirmations and thinking like that, you just don't have the negative thoughts as much, because you're kind of happy. You just feel more at peace, and you're looking at the birds and nature, and you have to get rid of all the TV and the media and all that negative stuff. It takes a little while, and then, and then you just think happier thoughts most of the time. Great. Which is, I think, what God wants us, how he wants us to be.
Right. This is so interesting for me. And I'm thankful that, Teri, you encouraged me to start on this. And like I said, I'm only on day 10. But I'm really excited about this as something for my own personal life. So I want to thank you both for being here. Kim, would you hold up your book so we can see the two books? I'll hold up.
So and I think there's a blue one too, and there could be more, but I've seen this one. I've seen a blue one.
The original one was blue.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. The original was blue, and it had everything all in one book, so it was really, really big. They've broken it down now into 3 pieces. There's the original teaching, and then there's a student book where you can do those work exercises every day, and there's a teacher's manual. So that's the 3 parts of it. I had the original that had everything in one book, and it was like really heavy.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm looking forward to having Enlightened World Network be working through this Course of Miracles this year. And I'm so excited to have you both on here to help launch that through. So
Thank you.
anything else before we say goodbye? Teri, any last words about Course in Miracles?
Well, I don't remember who said it, but I just read recently, happy is our natural state. And that memory was clicked by what yeah, Kim was saying. Sorry.
Mhm. No, it's okay.
But I read, happy is our natural state. All of these other external things that we focus on, that's only covering up that happiness. So what the Course does is helps us to go back and look at things that we perceive as real and look and say, wow, is that real? Does that object really mean something to me? No, it only means what I put the meaning into it. So when we deconstruct all of that other stuff, that external stuff, we find what's real inside, which is our happy place and our way of being, which is pure love, pure unconditional love, which brings out that happiness. So that's all I wanted to add, is that, once you delve into what's real versus all that external garbage, then you do get back to that happy. And I love it.
Excellent. Thank you, Teri. Kim, last thoughts?
Yeah, I think just springboarding off that, in the book, it talks about how that miracles are natural and that God created the world and the universe to, have us have miracles occur like all the time, but we block them in different ways and to kind of deflect them. And so I love the thought in the book about the universe is self-organizing and self-correcting. And if humans' minds, egoic minds, would just get out of the way, we could be just showing love and forgiveness and compassion, to each other, all the time. And that's part of healing. It's kind of this book is about, we've all gone through a lot of stuff in our lives, and it's kind of like letting go of the past and healing from the past and finding that love and peace and compassion that's within us, that is our natural state.
That's
So,
great. And here's a guide on how you can get there. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. I can't appreciate you both enough for taking the time to help educate us. And I can feel that this would be really life-changing. So this is 2021. Here we go. A Course in Miracles.
Yeah, and Ruth, can I just add, our book club is studying this book, Pam's book, throughout the month of January. But also every week I do a show called Gratitude Happy Hour on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. And each week I will dedicate a portion of that show to talking about the Course in Miracles experiment and the lessons that came up during the week for us. So that's another opportunity to come in and to discuss it and hear more about the Course in Miracles.
Perfect. And that is available here on Enlightened World Network.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Excellent. So Kim, thank you. Teri,
thank you.
Thank you, everybody watching. Join us in this journey. It looks like an awesome one, and I can't wait. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth.